first of all, Lara, like, yes, so it's a long time ago that we first connected. And I think of you as a very inspiring entrepreneur in the wellness space. And I know it's a
Hope
real
so.
passion of yours, all the different businesses that you've got. In fact, I saw you once at a triathlon event and you were talking, was it dry rope?
Could have been. Yeah. I
Yeah.
sold Dry Robe 3 years ago.
Did
So it
you?
was a good sell.
Yeah, I can
Great
imagine.
product.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yet to acquire one myself. I think it might be a thing
Yeah,
that's coming.
sadly, that's a business story in itself, because I think I now count 22 copies, but that's the way business goes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
actually, you just have to be outstanding at what you do.
Yeah, well, I certainly sort of get that vibe from you. So I know that you have this really good landscape view, helicopter view of lots of different aspects of the wellness industry with all the different sort of products and ventures. And I don't know, I was reading the other day something about an app, an hour or so.
So I'm Better Space app, which is a multi-platform, multi-service platform, which again is trying to simplify that hideous job that HR are expected to do on top of everything else, which is deliver all that reward piece.
Yeah.
And finally, thank God, we've got people that recognise not everybody wants to do cycle to work scheme, not everybody wants to wear lycra and go on a race, not everybody, some people just want financial learning.
Yeah.
Some people want to take the stress out of home life. Some people want to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Could be knitting, by Tom Daly. It could be anything. Yeah. But my point is that I think personalising, and particularly, interestingly enough, we're talking earlier, life's journey, you don't know what's coming around the corner next, right? So actually you have to have responsiveness at work. And I do think it's a near impossible balance to satisfy all of the people all of the time, because actually there's always the outlier in the workplace wellness scheme of, where is the line where we take responsibility as adults, parents and grown-ups also for our own health. And absolutely. How much do you want to put upon me, the CEO? And I think that's a really difficult space.
Yeah.
It's a broadening space of everything. And for good reason in some cases. If you're going to have a female executive who's working her backside off to the point where she puts children on hold, and she then gets to an age where actually she'd like children, but she's left it a bit later than science would say is wise. But where does the corporate cease the line on supporting an expensive IVF game?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I've looked and thought about this question a lot for a long time around where the employer responsibility and the employee responsibility meet.
Yeah.
Because they have to work together.
Yeah.
But then what I've reflected is a bit like when you look at outside of the workplace, like people's well-being journeys, it's very much about getting to the point where you discover and realize that you need to do more for yourself. And actually everyone's on their own personal journey of that. I've got some friends of mine who literally just sort of like been flying through life, and then maybe are reaching their late 30s, early 40s, and maybe even perimenopause symptoms or marriage breakdowns and that kind of thing. And perhaps that's for the first time when they're experiencing
something's a hiccup.
Yeah, and then that's when there starts to be more self-awareness, some shifts in their behaviours. So in a way, not to defend workplaces and their responsibility at all, but they can only do so much.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, look, I'm an investor in wellness companies. I have Yogi Bear. I have Centered, which is my absolute passion, because I want to make it a global enterprise that gives somebody, if you like, a pocket rocket, a booster, a confidence thing that you can just carry anytime, anywhere, daily use for when you just kind of want to go, I can, not I can't, I will, not I won't. And my dad brought us up in military background, there's no such word as can't. But until you grow up, you don't know how lucky you are. My parents were sports people. So I treat exercise as a teeth brushing exercise thing that's part of my life. I then grew up and realized that there's a massive part of the population that didn't have active parents, and they're sitting on and thank God for Couch to 10K, for Couch to 5K. Yeah. Steve Cram and I were talking about it because he was at the London Marathon in XL, where we are now. And it is events like this that are shedding light on, not everybody wants to run a marathon, but actually we do have a responsibility to our one engine that we get gifted, which is our body. But not everybody teaches that. And the worst thing is we don't even teach it in school. So yes, I invest in wellness companies. I have also Kit Bricks, which is just had the most amazing ride at London Marathon because we've launched Tote Bricks, which is a waterproof based bag, which is just genius and affordable, accessible, because I'm lucky enough to make it so. But actually, I think workplace wellness is very challenging. I invested in Engage for Success when I first sold my company, meaning I gave them some money. And I also gave a lot of money to the Women's Sports Trust because I think we need icons. I think we need inspiration. I definitely know that there needed scientific study to show a CEO. And I think it's a Bath study that must be now 10 years old. Engage for Success wrote it originally in partnership. And they could prove that 24.6% of profit on a shareholder base, so talk about the commerciality, improved when you had a diverse, happy, healthy, gender balanced, inverted commas, I don't even know what that means today, workplace, which was open and culturally sensitive. 24.6% more money. Right. And it isn't a tick box exercise where the woman is HR and the woman is finance because we need a couple on the board. That's just bullshit. Right. And we still need to change a bit of that. But you can tell I'm deeply passionate about culture because I wouldn't be where I am without having the most amazing group of people. And as a child at 23, when I started my first company, I was kind of begging people to work with me. I still do. It works.
You mean you spot them and you know that they kind of fit?
I just think there's a lot of good people in the world that sometimes need a chance.
Yeah, well, that's very good of you. So from a couple of things that you're saying there, there's got two questions that exactly align to a couple of the things that we were thinking about talking about today. One is what you're saying there about, so you mentioned benefits.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a shift in the conversation about well-being to move this from benefits to more viewing this, and maybe this is what will achieve that buy-in that we're looking for, to thinking more about well-being as an outcome. So a bit like our productivity or our bottom line.
Which is rubbish in Britain compared to the rest of Europe. Because it's not about presenteeism.
Yeah, so how can we work on that shift rather than this being, you know, a perk?
Isn't it? I mean, a perk. It's also the change of language in the cosmetics and beauty industry. You're looking at someone who wears eyeliner and no other fabrication. I can't be asked. I don't have time, and I don't believe in it. Right? I like a suntan, so I invest in that, which is probably also wrong. I can't. The point is that wellness has come into beauty and cosmetics, and we're trying to change benefits to outcomes. And the truth is that it has to be an all-party play, wellness and happiness. I mean, Denmark have just won the latest in the I don't quite know what that means, but what I think it means is I think we've got the measurement systems, and some of them are more accurate than others. Technology should have a play without question. Do I want my boss to measure my productivity throughout my life, given the fact that we have the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune? Because truthfully, some people's lives are luckier than others, right? Some people got born lucky. We all got born lucky for being British. We speak English, we travel the world, we have a better lifestyle than a huge amount of the population in the world. We need to be putting back in, because actually we've proven there's a huge metric around and I know it because I feel it and I live by it, about I don't know if it's an endorphin release that says that I just, when I give somebody a touch of kindness, even if it's a free flipping scented balm, and I've shown a bit of care for pennies, right? The outcome is, I bet you I feel as good as the person that gets the balm. So how do we achieve that? Well, I think there's a grown-upness about, I remember when we introduced surveys at Pacific, my first company, and there was a bit of an ooh and an ah. But the truth is how do I measure improvement how do I understand that I'm improving unless I can measure it? And people don't like to be measured. Well, that's reality of life, right? We need to be in a competitive society. But equally, I think you have to couch that, if you like, or support that and be empathetic to, at different times of life, ages and stages. And I specifically personalize this to my own hideous, brutal, miserable stupidity around menopause, that and also I ran a business without any, I had ladies who went through menopause at Pacific, and I almost didn't get it. I understood it a bit, and it was like I tried to be empathetic because I'm a decent human being, but I didn't know what menopause. I had no comprehension. 3 babies, no gas, no air. I'm a triathlete. I must be hardcore. Menopause has broken me. So what am I saying there? We have to be empathetic at the different stages and ages.
Yeah.
We have to have a system. I'm invested in better health, better space, because it creates a better health outcome when you can give choice to an individual.
Yeah.
This month, I might sign up to the London Marathon. Actually, I did yesterday.
Did
it's in the
you?
ballot because well, actually, my whole family did.
Amazing.
Because also we've had a horrible experience with an amazing learning. I have 3 healthy children. One of my friends and investors in Kitbricks has been born a child who doesn't have the natural ability to breathe when he sleeps. Right, so he dies if he sleeps without being on a ventilator, and that is a hell of a mental adjustment. So they have a nurse full time, they have 2 ventilators at home, and Casper dies if he sleeps without being on the ventilator. So Keep Me Breathing is who we will run for. But that's a perfect example of, Jesus Christ, that's happened in my life, and it's affected my family, my staff, all of us, right? And I'm emotional about it. It's hard.
Yeah.
But we can do the right thing. Yeah. Now, if my boss, I happen to be my boss, was less empathetic, I would stay less time.
Yeah.
I would feel more aggrieved.
Yeah.
I would get more angry. I would lose flexibility and agility. I would lose enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't go the extra mile. This morning, I turned up to Excel early. As I walked off the train, 2 of my staff were also walking off a different train. They turned up early. Why do they do that?
Yeah.
Do you know why they did it? They know that I'm tired.
Yeah. I saw some research yesterday from that brand, women's health product brand, like Day. Don't know if you've come across them.
DAYE.
Yeah, really interesting moves from them at the moment. And in their research they've done, which was like a survey of women, I guess, they think it was something quite high, like 62% of women said that they would actively seek employment in another company that had better
services for women.
Yeah.
Look, I employ an over-indexed group of women. Yeah. It's not I'm biased. I frankly milk them for all their worth, but I do it with agility and
understanding and empathy of their experiences. Yeah. And actually, just back to what you were saying there about, the sort of life course approach. And for you, it sounds like you've, been through that journey without too much of a storm until now facing this.
From a health point of view,
yeah,
I've been extremely
physical health
lucky.
point of view. Yeah. But reality is, when you look at the graph for women of the different things, talking about, adolescence and hormonal changes, then menstruation cycles, then various different menstruation challenges and conditions.
Am I biased like you, perhaps, because I'm a woman? I don't know. And actually, I think that's an interesting question, because I'm not sure we talk enough about the ebbs and flows of males, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And CEOs.
Yeah.
Are not given a language. And there's still a massive majority of CEOs who are men. But we need to be talking to them in a language that they can understand. So let me give you an example. 2% of finance goes into female startup businesses, which is outrageous, ridiculous. And the women are as much to blame as the men. The men got to the playground first. The women keep meeting each other instead of going in the playing in the boys' playground. Yeah. Now, the same thing in health and reward and wellness and outcomes. If you say to a CEO, I can save you 24.6% of recruitment costs, which has a knock-on effect to the time that your team are distracted doing inductions and training. And that has a direct effect on profitability because you've got staying power. By the way, your brand reputation goes through the roof. When I ran Pacific, there were people in Bedford that would try and network with my other members of staff at Pacific to go, just let me know whatever job comes up, I'm applying. What an honor that is, right? We need CEOs told in facts and figures that there's a shareholding value. Most CEOs have some level of shareholding because we always act. We're humans. on what's in it for me. That's why
Yeah.
we give a variety of rewards, right? Because Mavis wants to do knitting and Lara wants to do a triathlon. It doesn't matter, right? I respect Mavis. I can't knit. I'm planning on that when I'm about 122. I do have a plan for knitting, but it's just not till I've finished playing golf. So speak to these people in language that they can understand, which is a commercial equation, and you might get taken a bit more seriously. Because yes, it's a pain in the arse when Sarah called me last week and was meant to come to London Marathon, but Ben fell down the stairs. Right, we're still little companies. I invest in, and I passionately believe in that. But the first thing I'm worried about is Ben.
Yeah.
Right, and if I'm doing that wrong, I should be shot. Right, so.
But how can we have that level of empathy among all senior leaders?
I was going to say that, and I got that wrong. I mumbled. If I look at a CEO from an investment point of view, and I'm talking in an investment room, and I say, "What does your daughter do for a living?" Right? And they look at me and they know that unfortunately I'm still rare as rocking horse shit because I made a lot of money when I was young and now I invest it in wellness, right? And please don't take that as a lacking in humility because I've got a lot at stake at the moment, but I love what I do. I look at that CEO and I go, do you think your daughter might want to run a company one day? And they try to be the unisex, diversified, open-minded dad because they do know that that's the case. And I say to them, she's got a 2% of investment chance. And it's education, right?
Yeah, and asking those tough questions
and
and raising those
literally hear the penny drop.
Yeah.
So does the HR director listening to this call actually say to the CEO, I want a one-on-one with you?
Yeah.
I want to go through some figures that show you a commercial equation as to why we need to invest in wellness. Let me give you an example. There are companies all over this hall charging £3 to go to the gym, and apparently it takes 7 minutes in London to go to any gym. And then there are executives who build gyms in buildings for themselves. And everybody else is scared shitless to go and use the gym because the chief executive could be there. And lo and behold, they could talk to you. Well, that's a shit culture in the first place.
Yeah.
Because there should be no fear. Right? So accessibility, agility, understanding this fragility of life, change.
Yeah.
We need to educate the CEO by going and speaking to them and asking them their perspective on what they would expect. Do unto others as you would have done unto you is a great starting point.
Yeah. And be more real.
Yeah, I'm delighted to say that there's some change. It's not fast enough, but we need more authentic leadership. And I think that conversation has also been dampened down because there's been this, and I empathize too. I am knackered.
Yeah.
Right? Are you knackered?
Pretty, yeah.
Right. So I reckon
everyone's knackered.
If you asked everybody in this hall, right, they're burnt out at work because they're stressed at home. They're struggling paying the bills. They're struggling now, worse still, to ask for a raise because times are not as good. Yes, employment numbers are good, but they're a bit of a fudge. Cost of living is still hitting people. Mortgage rates have decimated some, possibly some who were more greedy than others by overstretching their living standards. But again, we don't teach in school. Have a budget.
Yeah.
Have a budget. Teach our kids.
Yeah.
The parents are responsible for that. Parents are responsible for saying good and bad.
But that assumes that they have those skills in the first place.
It does. It makes a horrible. And by the way, some of the biggest workforces, the ones that we absolutely depend on to keep the lights on.
Yeah, the hidden workers.
Right?
Yeah.
The guys that make my train work.
Yeah.
They unfortunately may not be as it doesn't mean they're not, by the way. I'm very empathetic to the idea that one day I can drive a tractor and build, I don't know, golf courses or something, which is my brother's ambition, just switch off. But the point is that we have generations of people who don't understand health.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't have the means or the capacity to access that education as well as.
Which is something, again, something I'm passionate about, making a touch point of care, right? A mini well-being balm. And I'm obviously trying to sell a product, but the truth is that I can send a message. Moonpig recently gave, without telling their customers, a surprise and delight of a love balm on every bouquet. And the results were extraordinary.
Yeah.
Why aren't we just putting a £1 gift on someone's desk or a £5 balm that says, have a stop, inhale, and a reset because we have noticed and we care about
what you're buying isn't the product, is it? It's the impact of the product, the moment.
and
that's difficult.
I mean, I used to hang onto the arms of chairs to get air into my body, and I was apparently winking at people unbeknownst to me with that ridiculous eyebrow twitch, and I was knackered, right? And at least, by the way, we have improved. People will say I am suffering, but I know for a fact, because I've proven it with money, that you can't sell a product if you call it a mental health tool. So these are health and lifestyle balms. But the question is much more about, what do you need?
Yeah.
Althea, what is it you're needing at this moment?
Right now, a bit more sleep.
Gin and tonic or whatever. But and a bit early for 10 a.m. But
yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is that, so you're right, you've said there that we're all stressed. Everyone here is stressed and a bit tired and bit overloaded, probably, as you say, cost of living.
And then they go home to a child who's been bullied at school, and that's hard.
Dealing with it. So there's a lot of overwhelm. But you're right, there has been progress, because we are now better at saying, or some people are, potentially the more privileged ones to some extent, better at saying, I need help, I need a pause. But we do still have the problem and the triggers, and the cause is still there. So yes, we might be doing better at talking. And really, this is our reason for the community, is that we both, having worked in this space since 2016 for me, longer for Matt, we're still having some of the same conversations. Some of these, conversations that are happening here today, we have been having for a long time. Measurement. I mean, senior leader buy-in. Like, we've been chatting about it for ages.
But I wonder whether the HR are pussyfooting around too much. Forgive me.
Maybe. Let's tell them.
But I mean, but maybe they could try something and just say, look, we need to have a one-on-one, and it's not about today's metrics. It's not about tomorrow's X. It's just about me and you.
Yeah. Well, I love that idea. So perhaps there's some education that we could do, or we could facilitate, which is having braver conversations with senior leaders.
Yeah, because
not everyone's like you, Lara, to be fair. And
unfortunately, well, thank God for that. Well, some people will be saying, but I think I'm very lucky. You start a business when you're 23, you disproportionately beg and admire everybody around you, and they're all older.
Yeah.
And I was taught by my grandfather that you respect, elder and better.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean the case all the time. And in fact, I strive to be better every day if I can. But I'm painfully aware that this conversation is a repeat. And I mean, look, I'll walk around with you later, and we'll go and look at the stupidity of people's shoes. Right? And how many companies have said, look, just wear comfortable shoes. Doesn't matter, right? You're going to be on your feet all day. Simple things, right? Wear your trainers if you like. I don't mind. It's your choice. My staff will make a choice. But my point is, at the most basic, careful, caring level, if a CEO sent out, there's a app one of my daughters advised my other daughter to get, which is called I Am. I haven't looked at it, but I know that she's getting affirmations. And it's working for Katie. And Katie is, first daughter, 11 A stars or whatever it was, flipping A grader. My husband and I laughed. How clever are you? How dedicated, how ridiculously list orientated to a level of madness. But the truth is, we're all made differently. And any parent listening to this who's lucky enough to be a parent will go, God, I so get that. The number one child versus the number two, and then the number three is a complete hooligan because you made her change her nappies herself because you just got so casual about parenting. Just you wait. And why aren't we transporting that knowledge into the workplace and going, actually, everybody's different, right? And don't get me wrong, you're there to do a job, right? So there are boundaries where I explain to people, and I wrongly, unintentionally reduce somebody to tears because I'm not perfect. But actually, sometimes that person who's reduced to tears needs to have that release and the reality check that says, you came to us saying you wanted to step up in your career. Well, that requires you to go outside your comfort zone. So it's not all soft, wishy-washy conversations, right? I tell people where they stand. You are in danger because you aren't cutting the mustard. So how can I help you is my first question. And when I've then helped you and you're still not stepping up, but why are we fanning around too often?
Yeah.
Because I know people prefer to know where they stand.
Yeah. I mean, I like that in general. Why are we fanning around? I feel like maybe that's a good question to just be asking everyone today around this issue, around workplace wellbeing.
When did they last say, there's a direct need where my budget should be bigger and better than the rest, because the cumulative effect on outcome is an upside, and it's been proven time and time again. So let's stop being disproportionate.
Yeah, I like that. Why are we fanning around? Let's stop being disproportionate. I think we might leave it there, Lara. Thank you so much.
You're really
It was
welcome.
really nice to see you again. Really, really nice. I forgot how important it is to have conversations with the people that really inspire you. So thank you.